Hello, you popcorn junkie-ites. If you're not a Star Wars fan, skedaddle. This isn't going to be for you. This is a trailer for the third series, the third season of The Mandalorian. I really liked the first season of The Mandalorian. I kind of like bits of the second Mandalorian, but I have to confess, I wasn't overly enamoured with it. I mean, I think it was better than the Book of Boba Fett. I've got a real problem with just watching characters. I mean, I love the landscape of the planets. I love Tatooine. I love all the desert. I love all that kind of stuff. It's really evocative for me. But I do find it a little bit tedious when you just see characters walking through this scene, that scene, you know, and they're just going somewhere. And okay, obviously they're going somewhere with purpose, but it's kind of a bit samey. It's a bit samey. So I'm kind of hoping that The Mandalorian Season 3 will return to some of that stuff from the first season. When it's at its best, it reminds me of the original sort of Star Wars films, you know, the original Star Wars trilogy. There's that sense of sort of creatures, there's that sense of, you know, puppetry and monsters and, you know, bounty hunting and all that kind of malarkey, all that sort of stuff. It's really evocative. It takes you back to the sort of windswept planets of Luke's kind of, you know, birthplace or where he grew up with his aunt and uncle, all that kind of stuff. I love all of that. For me, I found the story somewhat lacking with some of the Star Wars stuff. I didn't get around to reviewing Andor. I thought Andor was significantly head and shoulders above the other Star Wars offerings, but it's a more grown-up sort of offering for the Star Wars fan. It's like Star Wars' House of the Dragon, whereas obviously The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, this is aimed at a younger audience. I really quite enjoyed the Obi-Wan Kenobi series too. The Mandalorian I love Grogu in there, and I think this season, season 3 is going to see Grogu returning. I love that sort of parental relationship between the Mandalorian and him. Obviously Pedro Pascal, writ large all over The Last of Us at the moment on HBO Max, the series based on the computer game. He's obviously the Mandalorian, though I do sometimes wonder whether is he really under the helmet for every scene. I mean, even in movies where you see actors' faces, they have stand-ins, so presumably there must be occasions when they have stand-ins. I'm pretty sure of that. But that said, he brings a certain sort of heft and gravitas to the character that I don't think anyone else could actually bring to it. So you feel it's Pedro Pascal, certainly when he's performing. So I'm hoping that this nuzzles back towards what I liked in season 1 and doesn't go any further towards the Book of Boba Fett, which is a lot of walking around, wandering around, and all that kind of stuff.
Our people are scattered like stars in the galaxy.
Clint Eastwood.
What are we? What do we stand for? Being a Mandalorian's not just learning about how to fight. You also have to know how to navigate the galaxy. That way, you'll never be lost.
Oh.
I'm going to Mandalore, so that I may be forgiven for my transgressions.
May the Force be with you!
This is the way.
There's something dangerous happening out there. And by the time it becomes big enough for you to act, it'll be too late.
Hang on, kid. This is the way.
Wozers bedozers. Who saw Babu Frick in there? Is that his name? Babu Frick, the little kind of welder, the little kind of ironsmith. I love it. And what's the name of that other one? Is it called, what's his name? Baba... Is it sebaceous cyst or something like that? The long leggy thing that used to sit on Jabba the Hutt's throne. Very Clint Eastwood, isn't it? Pedro Pascal's kind of delivery of the dialogue and the words. Yeah, I mean, you know, back to Mandalore. The Mandalorian, sort of, you know, back to his origins, back to what he's about, back to what is his purpose. Anyone else get that Jedi scene there, where all the Jedis with their drawn lightsabers were walking along that hall. I mean, I was getting very much prequel vibes there. Was anyone else? Grogu. Grogu is a great addition. I mean, he's fantastic. I was also recognizing some of the monsters. That creature that he flew out of the cave. I thought that, I think, you know, it's that sort of six-eyed thing, isn't it? I seem to remember having an action figure of that from the original films. There were a couple of moments there. I don't know what anyone else thought. There was a moment where there was a guy, a sort of bald guy, in a sort of what looked like a sort of flying saucer type thing with a cockpit thing like that. Diabolical CGI. I mean, I can only hope and presume and assume that it's not fully rendered yet. I believe Giancarlo Esposito is in here, Moff Gideon. I didn't really see much evidence of him there. I liked the sort of suggestion of of the familiar sort of aspects of the Return of the Jedi and all that kind of stuff. You know, once again with Jabba the Hutt's little kind of creature that used to sit alongside him on his throne. Is this going to be about redemption? Is this about him sort of like a huge sort of helmeted salmon swimming back up his kind of river to his birthplace, his origin story? Is the Mandalorian going to go back to his original place, if you like, for us to gain a more meaningful understanding of him? Is Grogu going to fully gravitate and graduate to becoming, I don't know, a Jedi or some sort of thing? I like it. I like it. I like the music. I like the look. I like it when it's, I tell you what I wasn't happy about was seeing the woman, the engineer, the bloody mechanic. She overacts so badly. I can't stand that. But we've got droids in there. You've got the droid room. That looked fantastic. You know, the small details like this, when all the Mandalorians were about to kind of jump out of that sort of trap in the spaceship, they did something with their that was very like the original films. I think sometimes they lose sight of the kind of simplicity of what made the original films work. And it wasn't just simplicity, but it was kind of like a raw technological approach. And so there was a moment there where I was thinking, oh yeah, that feels right, them doing that. But when they all land and they all I mean, we got a lot of kind of Western style shootouts, didn't we, in the last series? And I'm not particularly up for too much of that. Battles, yes. Fights, yes, but not too much of the same stuff in another sort of Western style, kind of sandy kind of community outpost town. I can't do too much more of that. So there's more there to excite me than to worry me.